Bleach Rebirth just had the biggest blowout at Jump Festa 2025, or 24, but they do it in 2025. There's been a lot going on for Bleach Rebirth that I personally haven't covered, like the character trailers, so I'll speedrun them right quick for you guys. I'ma speedrun this right quick. Tosei looks annoying. Renji, about time. Kira looks cool. Naliel, probably a potential character I'll play. Grimjo looks amazing. Another character I'm probably gonna meme with, but I'm gonna hate fighting. Mayuri, it's Mayuri. Aizen looks broken. Yamamoto looks really broken. And then lastly, we do have the new and highly revealed Shinji Hirato's special trailer. Now the trailer is cool because we got to finally see Shinji being playable, but I'm very hurt by the fact that we might have lost Hiyori. Hopefully that is just a story mode exclusive frame we see, but that frustrates the hell out of me. Hiyori, if you played any other Bleach game in your lifetime, I just been playing Bleach Blader's second, and I'm like, damn, that character is actually pretty fun to play, and now she's not playable. But today, I have an exclusive interview with an arena fighter fan and a person who just plays video games all the time as well. Shout out to Griffin Station. He's been on a break from YouTube, but he has moved to Japan, and he has played Bleach Rebirth of Souls. I know y'all hate interviews from people that don't play these types of games, so I went directly to somebody I know that has played them. Griffin Station has been around forever and has primarily came out when Jump Force started. So he knows the pros and cons of every game, and he also understands fighting games past a little basic intermediate level. So we're here to talk about his first impressions and answer a lot of y'all questions that you may have been thinking about seeing or hearing about Bleach Rebirth of Souls. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more Bleach Rebirth of Souls and fighting games, and everything else I want to do in between. But let's get it, lock in, let's go. What is up, everybody? It's Avataryaya back like I never left, and today I have an exclusive, I'm throwing up air quotes as I say this, exclusive Jump Festa interview. Now I've already recorded this already, so I fucking like OBS just doesn't want it to be clean as it was. But essentially, I'm going to be here with the one and only Griffin Station today, and we'll be talking about Bleach Rebirth of Souls. And he's gotten to play Bleach Rebirth of Souls at Jump Festa. Was it 2024? Do they do the 25 thing or the 2024? But regardless.
Yeah, 2025.
Okay, so yeah, so we're here. It's going to be lit. And I'm very excited for everything related to Bleach Rebirth of Souls. And I think that's very important, all entirety to talk about. So the first big question is, I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about the movement of Bleach Rebirth of Souls? What game does it kind of remind you of, and what did you like about it?
Yes, so for context, before going into the full details about the game, first time I ever saw Bleach Rebirth of Souls, I was just super excited. Despite popular belief, I actually do like Bleach, and I am really excited to play a new Bleach game, and I thought the style looked amazing. I thought the graphics looked amazing, and I just needed to actually play it to see how I truly felt about the gameplay. And so when I first got my hands on, we had a tutorial session between Ichigo and Yoruichi, and so she's sort of teaching you the controls, the combat, and so you don't really get much movement in there, but once you actually start moving around, you do move a tiny bit slowly if you're just walking, but they introduced a step mechanic. So either you can step using the X button, either moving left or right, forward and back, or you can use L2 and X to teleport behind the person. And so I feel as though that the step mechanic really helps with the movement and just helps with the flow of the gameplay. I at least used it a lot to close in on the enemy when I was either playing as Ichigo or Ulquiorra. In terms of games that I feel it plays similarly to, I would probably have to say Kill la Kill If. It's been a couple years since I've actually played Kill la Kill If, but from my memory, not only from the fluidity of combat, I mean, they're both arena fighters, but like that use like sword weapons, but it's not just that. They have a rock, scissors, paper mechanic that it's not quite like Kill la Kill If's rock, scissors, paper mechanic. It doesn't necessarily slow down the gameplay. It's just more so you have to be thinking about it as you're playing the game. So we have a the traditional guard, you have a guard break with R1, and you also have your regular combos with square and triangle, and you have a special move with each character with the circle button. Yeah, I played on PlayStation 5 just for context.
Okay.
And so these 3 different buttons, the regular buttons can't do anything against guard, except you can whittle down the guard, but the guard gets instantly broken by the breaker move on R1, and then after you can counter the breaker moves with regular combos. So you just have to be aware of what the opponent probably wants to be doing and try to counter it, which I really appreciated.
Okay, so to bring up some context for people that are watching this, in Kill I Kill If, there is an RPS mechanic called Bloody Valor, and each one gives you different health, give you a different way to play speed, or an attack boost, right? And you have to pick the corresponding button to win the RPS. What Griffin's saying here is essentially from his first impressions, the game doesn't necessarily have that type of RPS mechanic, but the way the game is designed is that you have to play rock, paper, similar, pretty much more akin to the execution, the idea of Kill I Kill If's Bloody Valor, but to like traditional 3D fighters such as DOA, Tekken, and things of that nature. But it's still an arena fighter, of course. So that's really cool. I really like that you brought that up this time. Now, this question, I didn't get to ask this time, but I have a different way of saying it. If you can say like what game or arena fighter this feels closest to, and where do you feel it's unique in, how do you feel about that? Like what game can you kind of connect Bleach Rebirth Souls from your first impressions and playtime?
Connecting it to another game, I would probably, weirdly enough, I would actually say it sort of reminds me of Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles in a way, and maybe that's just because you also have a lot of sword fighting in that game. But it's probably, honestly, I think a mix between Hinokami Chronicles and probably any sort of 3D arena fighting Dragon Ball game. So you could either say like Sparking Zero or like back to the Budokai Tenkaichi games.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say, just because I think the movement is more similar to those games, and then I think the actual gameplay, like I guess combos and mechanics and stuff, are maybe a bit more similar to Hinokami Chronicles.
Okay. All right. I really like that you brought that up entirely, because that is something that a lot of people are worried about in terms of the game itself. But I think the next question I want to ask is, people have been seeing Bleach Rebirth of Souls footage for about almost 6 months to a year now, and there's some critique about the game entirely being like a little too slow. Do you have a different impression compared to actually playing it versus what you've seen online?
I definitely don't think it's too slow. I do think that the matches are pretty lengthy. I had a 15-minute timer for both the tutorial and the one match I did, and I still had about 4 minutes after I finished my regular match with Ulquiorra and Gin. And so I don't feel like it's incredibly slow, but the matches are a bit longer. I think the main thing that really lengthens the time of gameplay is the stock system in terms of your health, rather than having a traditional health bar. Since you're targeting the opponent's reishi, you have specific moves that can do that. By holding down L2 and pressing either square or triangle, you'll target the opponent's reishi, and then that'll chip it down. If you get them down to, I think it's around 30%, you can then pull off a move called Now or Never. You have like a short window to pull it off, but if you do, then you can take out like maybe 2 or 3 of their stock lives, and then I think it's the stock lives that increase the game length. But I think because you have the step mechanic to close in onto the enemy fairly quickly, that I didn't have issues with, I guess, momentum in the game. It always felt like I was always constantly in the fight.
Right.
Not in like a begrudging way.
Okay. That's pretty cool. The next question I wanted to ask, from your first impressions of the game, are there any worries or concerns about like the characters you fought so far, or anything that might worry you about the game and its mechanics down the road towards release? You know, it's a first impression, but let's hear what you got for me.
Yes, so I have Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 2 flashbacks with going online and just getting spammed by ranged Daedra. And so I when I went up against Geen, he awakened, which then increased his sword length, and so he knocked me down and constantly pressed his circle button so his sword would extend across the screen and I would get constantly knocked back down. The way how I avoided that was just by teleporting behind him with the step mechanic, and then after just killing him after that. But you can't really counter with Geen's speed specifically. You can't necessarily counter it with like trying to rush up to him with the step mechanic. You have to consume part of your Ryotsu and like teleport behind him. So there is that. So yeah, I would say I'm a tiny bit concerned about ranged characters, especially against short-ranged characters, but I do think that there are some mechanics in this game that allow you to counter it, especially with shorter range characters. They have easier times closing distances than, let's say, who I was playing, Ulquiorra, which is sort of a mid-long range character.
Okay, that's really good to know, because to me, like I said earlier, was that it kind of reminded me of Sparking Zero. Like there's some characters that obviously excel at using and sparking like blast moves, but there's characters that got instant transmission. They nerfed instant transmission recently, but still, you can still get behind somebody if you have it. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see how this plays out once the community gets its hands on and, you know, everybody's getting the game and playing it. So that's very important to know about it. The next big question is, at Jump Festa, you did say you played Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles, which it is 60 FPS, by the way, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I played on PS5, so it's 60 FPS there. I don't know if on previous gen consoles like PS4 and Xbox One and stuff, if it will also be 60 FPS, because the graphic fidelity on that game looks pretty significantly improved from the first game.
Okay. So in comparison, I brought up the comparison because they're both your first impressions. You know, Demon Slayer Hinokami Chronicles 2 and Bleach Rebirth the Souls, right? How does the movement feel relative to Demon Slayer?
Mm-hmm. The movement in Demon Slayer was really fluid, and both games were really fluid. I think that with the step mechanic, it just made it very easy to constantly get back into the fight as quickly as possible. Whereas with Kimetsu no Yaiba, there were some instances where I was running into invincibility frames, and I think that lasted maybe a tiny bit too long. Nothing like Jump Force or anything, but like it was just slightly. But like outside of that, like I really loved the gameplay of Hinokami Chronicles 2. I actually wasn't the biggest fan of the first game, but I think they made a lot of significant improvements, and maybe it's just the characters I played for Hinokami Chronicles 2. But I do think the difference between Rebirth of Souls and Hinokami Chronicles 2 is that you do have to put a lot more thought into how you're playing the game with Rebirth of Souls. There's just a lot of mechanics that are in play when you're playing, whether it be the stock system or the rock, scissors, paper mechanics, or just like trying to counter the opponent's moves. Whereas Hinokami Chronicles 2, while the characters are different, generally it's not that difficult to pick up and play the characters, which is I think I can argue as a benefit for CC2 games, but I know also could be a detriment in terms of actual depth. But I really enjoyed both games, just to be clear.
Yeah, that's fine. I know somebody's gonna be like, well, he said Demon Slayer is better than Bleach. All right. I'm like, all right. chill out. He likes both games. All right, everybody. But a big thing I want to ask you is who do you want to see in Bleach Rebirth of Souls? I know we're pretty much locked in at this point with most of the roster, at least 70% of it at this point. Who are you really missing?
So not a character that I was really wanting, but I was really surprised. So I was at the Bleach panel today, and it was mostly focused on the anime. They're having, I believe, an anime special for episodes 39 and 40 coming out, I think, next week. And they really showcased that. But at the end of the panel, they showed a new trailer, which I should be online now. And it was for Shinji. And I'm not the biggest Shinji fan, but that trailer, like seeing it with that crowd on like the giant screen, was really cool. And so that got me really hyped to try out Shinji. But characters I'm really looking forward to are mainly just the top 3 Espada. We have Coyote Stark, Bragan, and Tyr Hollybell. I just love them. I love their designs. I love their, I guess, aesthetic, their potential move sets. I think they'd all be very unique. So I'm just excited to see what they have in store. Okay.
Yo, so that's pretty much everything I want to ask about. Actually, no, one more question. Legitimately, you played it on the PS5, and we know input delay is a big problem with a lot of fighting games, a lot of games general on PS5, to be honest with you. How did it feel to like do auto combos or get moves off? Did it feel very delayed to you?
No delay whatsoever. Now, I was playing a very limited scope demo, so I don't know if that will be different on the final release or even in a future demo. But from what I played, there was almost nothing. Whereas in comparison, I played the demo at Tokyo Game Show for Sparking Zero, and even though that was just a demo, I was still feeling a bit of input delay. And so that's something I can give to Hinokami Chronicles 2 as well. There was like almost no input delay. I think that Rebirth of Souls had even less than Hinokami Chronicles 2, because I felt it was pretty non-existent in Rebirth of Souls. Just like if I wanted to do something, I pressed the button and it happened. So okay. The one thing that could be an input delay, or maybe it's just me being bad at the game, is doing the what's the mechanic called? The
now or never?
Now or never. Now or never mechanic. There's a very short window you have to hold down the R2 button, which at first I thought it was just press the R2 button, but you have to hold it down, and you have a very short window to hold it down. And I don't know if that was input delay or just me being very slow, but that would just have to take me practicing it maybe a bit more to see which it was.
Okay. So, thank you for coming through once again. I know this is the second attempt at doing this, but I really do appreciate you for spending your time, especially coming from Jump Fest. I know it's been a long day for you and it's late. So thank you for coming through and talking about this. And I hope everybody enjoyed this. Where can they find you? I know you're not really making content right now, but you can plug yourself. Let the people know.
Yes, so I'm on both Twitter and Blue Sky. I believe my Twitter is GriffinX and my Blue Sky is GriffinStationYT. You can also subscribe to me or follow me over on YouTube, but as he said, I don't really post too much content nowadays. But maybe one day I'll post something, so who knows.
Hey, thank you. That being said, if y'all enjoyed this video about this little, in quotations, exclusive Bleach Rebirth of Souls, interview, make sure you go check everybody out. Hit the like button and subscribe for more fighting games, anime games, and everything else in between. Whatever I feel like doing. So, I'm out. Peace.